Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series then. It kicks off today with episode 1, Tangled Up in Blue. I played it, and let me give you a little bit of context before my review kicks off. I really like The Walking Dead, I really like The Wolf Among Us, and I really like Tales from the Borderlands. I think these are really strong Telltale games. I think the Game of Thrones one was fucking dog shit, and I liked quite a bit of the Batman one, but I played it on PS4 and it did not run very well at all, which is definitely biased my opinion. So, Guardians of the Galaxy is the next one up on the, what kind of seems like the Telltale assembly line now, and I have to be honest, it's just okay, right? It proves how inconsistent Telltale are with these properties that they take on, and it's kind of hard not to feel like they're taking on way too much, they're juggling way too much. You know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is such a bountiful property, you could do so much with it, and this stab just feels really pedestrian. It's like they know people were going to buy it, so they went straight down the middle, did nothing particularly interesting or daring. It's just a bit of fanboy wish fulfillment, and for plenty of people that'll be just fine. The hardcore crowd will probably be totally okay with it. If you're expecting something on the level of, like I say, The Walking Dead, The Wolf Among Us, yeah, you're not going to get it here, I'm sorry. Yeah, like the 2014 film, the plot here isn't really that important. It's more shoved forward by its characters, because, you know, it's the personality that made the first movie so fucking good. And that's kind of what they're banking on here. Clearly, like the plot is, it basically is the Guardians going after Thanos, and then the fallout of their first fight with him. And, you know, it's cool that you actually get to see Thanos, because obviously anyone who's a fan of the MCU is getting kind of pissed off waiting to actually see a bit more Thanos, which will happen in next year's Infinity War. It feels kind of like, you know, endless foreplay. So this is a nice little interjection, but be sure this is not an MCU endorsed product, if that makes sense. This is not part of that continuity, which kind of puts it in a strange sort of limbo, because this game is clearly trying to cash in on the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which looks awesome, of course. But it's its own delineated thing. The voice cast is completely different from the movies, and they don't have the likenesses of the actors, which is just, it's disappointing, right? It feels like a half measure. Maybe it was probably done to cut costs, but it's kind of a bit schizophrenic, if you know what I mean. Like, they want to make money off of the Guardians brand, but they're not going all the way out and just hiring the talent, because you think you could get some really good things out of Chris Pratt and everyone else in this kind of Telltale episodic adventure series. That said, the personality that people expect from Guardians of the Galaxy, whether that's the comics or animated or the movie, does transpire through somewhat. And that's why I can't say this is a bad game, it's just not a particularly great one either. The tone, for instance, does feel very similar to the 2014 film. I thought Rocket Raccoon especially was really good. He was voiced by Nolan North, I believe, so that shouldn't be that surprising. He does sound a lot like Bradley Cooper, which, you know, I have no complaints there. And there's a very easy novelty aspect to this game, because you actually get to meet Thanos extensively and you fight him, and it's really fucking good for about 20 minutes. It's really fun. I was loving it, because the game kind of starts off awkwardly. Yeah, the first 20 minutes or so I was like, oh, whatever. Then you meet Thanos and it picks up so much. It's so much fun for a little while. And especially people who are really into the movies, the MCU films, who still have to wait like, what, another year for Infinity War, there will be some very justified satisfaction out of playing this game. Still, a lot of the best things about it are dialogue driven. Like, there's quite a few scenes where the gang are hiding out in a bar, you know, they're hanging out in a bar after they've had a fight, and it's really fun. Just the banter is great. Like, there's even a scene where Groot's hungover and he's like throwing his guts up, and it's fucking hilarious. But on the whole, it does feel rather formulaic. especially if you've played a lot of Telltale games, this will feel like so familiar, and I think you need a certain tolerance for that not everyone's gonna have. It is very standard Telltale fare. Like there's bits where you can shoot guns, and it's on the PS4 it was just sort of spam L2 R2. It was really stiff. It was cool though. You get to use Star-Lord's space boots to explore one level, and maybe they could do more with that in other games. It was a nice idea, but really for the most part it is very standard investigation, conversation, QTs, you know, but then you should know that that's what you're getting. You shouldn't expect really anything different at this point. I think the thing that really did bug me about the game though is just how goddamn ridiculously dated it looks. Like, there's a few really lovely shots throughout of like outer space, which I'm pretty sure are just little like almost like matte paintings. Like they don't look really rendered in engine. I don't know, but when you get down to the characters, the lip sync is absolutely atrocious, and the facial animations are like comically bad. But again, this is pretty standard for Telltale. Some people can forgive that. I'm kind of getting impatient with it. The engine clearly needs an update, and the fact it hasn't already is ridiculous. That's without even mentioning like the frame rate drops. If you played the Batman Telltale game on the PS4 in particular, it's not as bad as that, but like when it's loading in a scene, it will chug for like a couple of seconds, and it's really annoying. Yeah, and then there are times where the graphics just look really bland. Like, the textures look like shit. Like something you wouldn't accept 5-6 years ago. I don't think that's an exaggeration, but, you know, feel free to pull me up on that if I am wrong. And then on top of that, the lack of official likeness is just, you know, I don't think that's a nitpick. I think it's a shame that they didn't really go for that, because I think it would have added a lot to it, especially if they got the voice work as well. Speaking of which, the voice work here will probably divide a lot of people. Like, Nolan North, he was a good Rocket Raccoon. Most of the others don't really remember them. They're clearly trying to ape the film performances, and you can't really blame them for that. But again, it comes back to the game kind of having a little bit of an identity crisis, because it isn't an official MCU game. But it kind of wants to be. Like, the look of it and the sound of it, it really wants to be, but it's not. The dialogue is kind of all over the place. Some of it is fun and does feel like it could be in the James Gunn movie. And some of it just kind of made me cringe, because you can tell they're trying a little bbit too hard, and it just kind of falls a little bit flat. The music, actually really good. I really like the use of Electric Light Orchestra's Living Thing, which was meant to be used in the original Guardians film, and it's used here as the menu music, and, you know, it's great. I had it on loop a few times, just chilling out. Like, it's great. So overall, to summarize, okay. Episode 1. Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale. It's the most reminiscent of Tales from the Borderlands in many ways, which is, it sounds great on the surface, because that's definitely one of the best Telltale games they've put out. But I think so many years on, it's starting to feel very stale, the formula. So you need to be a real big fan of Guardians to, I think, commit yourself to this. At the same time, the price is very reasonable, as all the Telltale games are. I think if you pre-ordered it was about £15, and if you don't, it's about £19 from release day. And you're probably going to get about 7 to 8 hours of content if that's the season pass you bought. But of course, the overall quality of the season we still don't know about, because only one episode's out. On the basis of this first episode, this 20% that I've been able to play of the entire season, I would say don't get your hopes up, but it's not awful by any means. It's just, you have to be very comfortable with the fact this is a very casual alternate universe cash-in. That's exactly what it is. If you're okay with that, you will probably enjoy it enough, but these are heavy qualifiers. Like, technically it's sloppy as fuck, and it is not the MCU tie-in that it really should have been. And you know what, you should take a game on what it is, not on what you want it to be. But at the same time, when the game is trying to latch itself to the upcoming Guardians film, maybe it's asking to be compared to that. With that in mind, this is going to get a 6 out of 10 for me. I think it's a fair score. If you love Guardians, go and play it. You know, again, it's cheap. It's well priced, but you know, maybe wait for a sale and get it a little bit cheaper. If not, see how the reviews pan out for the rest of the season. As always, thank you so much for listening. If you like this, please do like and subscribe, and until next time, I'll be here from dusk till dawn.